Good afternoon. This is Adam Small with Agent Sauce, and this is the Real Estate Marketing Podcast. We're here in the studios of DK New Media, and with me today is Doug Carr.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
Fantastic.
Great. And Austin Day, otherwise known as Intern Austin.
How's it going?
All right, Austin, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Great. So listen, today we're talking about marketing to millennials, and since we have our very own millennial here with Intern Austin, figured we'd start grilling him and see what his thoughts are.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Put him on the spot. So Austin, what are your thoughts on marketing to millennials in general?
So I think it's really interesting when speaking about millennials in general is because a lot of people get the sense that millennials are really young. I mean, and they are for the most part, but they are
because the millennial just started, not too long ago.
It could be because we're old.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
hey now.
Comparing it to me, but so a lot of millennials are usually between the ages of 1980 to 1995, which technically I kind of barely make the cut, being born in 1995.
Okay.
And after that is the Generation Z, which is mostly the post-millennials, and that's anybody that's born after 1995.
And really anybody born after 1995 right now, you're probably not doing a whole lot of marketing to in the real estate industry. So you define the age bracket there. And you're really on the very bottom edge of that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Born in 95, I suppose.
Thankfully.
Yeah, the year I went to boot camp. So you're on the bottom edge of that. But the upper range of that is another 15 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So probably up to about 35, 37-ish,
Yeah.
right? So definitely could be marketing to them and trying to work with them. So what else have you got?
Also, millennials actually just became one of the highest for home buyers at 32% nationally.
So fully a third of
Yeah.
all home buyers are in fact millennials.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because we tend to think younger.
Right.
But these are people that are starting a family and they're
Well,
ready
Well,
to
I mean,
buy.
a lot of them are already well into having
Yeah.
a family. You
Yeah.
know, if they're at that high range, 37 years old. You
Yeah.
know, so
maybe on their second.
yeah. First one didn't work out so well.
Just
So what other unique traits do we have regarding millennials?
So, and I think it is really interesting too. I mean, I noticed this just talking to a lot of friends my age that are a little bit older, and I also found data to back it up. About half of millennials also found their real estate agent through a friend or a family member. So I think that
So it's still referral based,
Yeah.
as opposed to.
so I think everyone
online.
thinks just digital, when really, I mean, if you have great referrals and testimonials, then
Well,
I think that speaks a
that's
lot.
an interesting thing because if you look at some of the latest NAR stats, they're always talking about how 90, 95, 85, 90% of your home searches start online. But what you're telling us is that even though the home search may start online, they pick the real estate agent through a referral of some source.
Yeah, because I mean, you can find a lot of stuff online, which a lot of millennials obviously like, but at the end of the day, you want somebody that has knowledge, and you want to be able to trust a real estate agent to be able to guide you through something that's a really big, scary purchase like buying a home.
Interesting. So what's your source on that 32% number? First off,
The 32% came from the Harvard Business Review, and a lot of these articles are from cases that they were doing a huge study a couple months ago about just the differences between millennials and Generation Z and Generation X.
and what about the number of where they found their agent? What about that?
Yeah, that was from Harvard Business too.
So 45 to 50% of millennials are finding their agent through a referral as opposed to strictly online, and that came from the Harvard Business Review as well.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting stat. A lot of agents should really know that.
I think some of the data that I've seen on millennials is they're a little bit more flexible as far as doing less research and relying on their network for more information. So I think that's probably true here as well.
Right. So they're a bit more trusting of their network than, say, a lot of people, older generation maybe that tend to do a lot more research.
Yeah, I
and
think
figure things out.
I'm just thinking about my own son. He moved back to Indy, and he researched neighborhoods and stuff online. but simultaneously he was talking to, his in-laws and everybody else about the neighborhoods and crime and everything else.
So perhaps it's a combination of both referral and whatever it is you're researching, but both referral from your network as well as doing your own research and then coming up with it instead of just doing your own research and hoping that it's accurate and that they're not leaving out that 800-pound gorilla or elephant in the room that says, yeah, this is a really high crime area or something like that.
Well, that's, to me, that points to the marketing aspect of it, right? And that's that. So, our generation, we're going to research probably a little bit deeper by ourselves. We're a little bit more confident because we've been through around the block. So we're going to be looking things up left and right. And so things like SEO and having a website and everything are really critical.
Right.
But younger people, if their network is the strongest and everything else, in order to build those relationships, you've got to have a great social media presence and be pushing that out.
You've got to find your way into their network somehow.
Exactly.
Right? That's what it comes down to.
I think that's the biggest thing that millennials look for is just transparency. Is if they can see a real estate agent being really transparent on their social media sites and actually having a little bit of a presence. I mean, if they're looking at their Facebook and Twitter maybe, and then there's like a lot of cobwebs and it hasn't been visited in a while, it might kind of send a negative
So they might look at that and that's all the research they need because they say, well, they're not active. They're not doing this anymore because it's a year old or been 6 months since they touched anything.
Or even if they're just posting just listings and that's the only thing.
Right. Not building any type of rapport.
Yeah,
with
no personal brand or anything like that.
Interesting. What other stats you got on millennials?
So as you were talking about earlier, there's also data that was kind of going with what you were saying about 94% of millennials using online websites for home searches. And then 51% of millennials also found the home that they ended up buying from looking online first too.
Oh, so that's interesting. So they're finding the home they want, right, online, and then they're going and finding an agent to show it to them through their network. So they're really doing a lot of the hard work for an agent insofar as showing the listings go. So they're doing their research, narrowing it down, and then finding the agent through their network, and then doing their purchase. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And that's the process I took when I was looking for a home last year with me and my friends because that was the only way I knew how. No one showed me, obviously.
So then when they go and they get to the realtor selecting the real estate agent as an aspect of it, they're going through their network though. What are they looking for when they're going through their network? What is probably one of the most important pieces of that, in decision-making process?
I think the biggest thing that they look for is really just trust and just being transparent. Because if you know that a real estate agent is actually a real life person and you look on their Facebook and they're talking about, oh, here's an amazing coffee shop right down the street from this property that I have, and then they're actually kind of looking through your shoes and seeing what kind of stuff that you're looking for if you're buying a home that
you
they
might
offer.
be interested in. Right. Interesting. What else you got?
So another thing I thought was really interesting, you guys might not know too much about it. It's called Stories on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
Wait a second. We know about that stuff.
Well, I know
he's showing his age by making an assumption there.
Sometimes I'll bring it up and they're like, what's a story? And I have to explain what a story is for a while. But an interesting thing would be to post it on maybe housings or house listings and other things that involve your life, and building your personal brand on stories instead of just posting them, because stories are so much quicker instead of posts for people to look at, because the biggest thing that millennials want is something that's really efficient, effective, and really fast. If you think about anything else, you want a ride, you call it Uber. If you want pizza, you hurry up and you do it online real quick.
So it's an attention span sort of thing.
Exactly.
So, okay, interesting. So short and to the point is what you're getting at, right? Don't waste a lot of time with fluff, if you will. There's plenty of fluff marketing out there, and even in phone calls and stuff, when I get phone calls and the person does not get to the point, I find myself cutting them off and saying, okay, what can I do for you? What is it that you need? So short and to the point.
Yep.
What else you got?
And another thing that a lot of millennials are looking for is, I know I look for it in paperwork. No one likes paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
If you can digitalize most of that kind of stuff, I would say do it if you can. Man, it just helps everyone out.
Right. Well, unfortunately, a lot of that paperwork aspect of things, it can, some of it very much so is digitized, but even getting to the closing still, we closed on our house a couple of years back, and it was a stack of paper probably 1.5 inches thick, and it's just like, come on, this is amazing how much paper is here. And of course we didn't need to sign every single sheet or anything, but it felt like we were in there for an hour or two just signing papers. So
But the cool thing here is the opportunity for technology and digital leading all the way up to that point is awesome.
Right.
Mobile tours and visual, those visuals online, and
Right.
being able to search, being able to communicate, fill in your own data,
Well,
all of those aspects of it. If you make that easy for a millennial, they'll service themselves, as far as they
can, exactly. Yeah.
And so if you don't have that route for them, they might not take yours.
Right.
Where
So
they'll look to another real estate agent.
So digitize as much as possible just for the sake of convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And another thing, just harping on how kind of a huge decision that is for millennials and buying a home. It's really important for that real estate agent to really be the expert for that person, and really I think it would be helpful to have maybe infographics and stuff like that to explain the process of buying a home to millennials, because they just don't understand a lot of that stuff, and some of that stuff is really hard to Google, and if you provide that advice, that things that they can't Google, then I think that can be really beneficial for them.
So what you're really saying there is provide some insight into the path itself. Doug was just talking about digitizing the path, right? But provide some upfront insight into the path itself, what to expect when you're buying. These are the steps involved in buying, or these are the things involved in home ownership, and things you can expect as a homeowner, to provide a lot more insight without actually necessarily having to do a purchase and go through it and go, okay, what next? So
yeah. And I think that really goes into just building your referral program too, because once you provide that insight for someone like a millennial, then they're obviously going to be one of your biggest fans and recommending you to all their friends that are looking for a house.
Use my agent. She told me everything that was going to happen right up front, and I knew exactly what to expect, and I knew this was going to take a while, and I was okay with that. When this didn't happen as fast as it should have, I knew it didn't because I didn't get the notification like I was supposed to, and I knew it because the agent told me this is what to expect. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So, got anything else?
I mean, I think as things get different, they still stay the same. If you can get your referrals and testimonials in and get people to believe in what you're doing and you're doing the right things, you're explaining them how to purchase a home, then I think once you build that network, it really can just compound for you after that.
Interesting. Doug, you got any thoughts?
No, I think it's pretty clear that we're working with a generation of people that technology was in their hands early on, and so they're a lot more used to it.
Right.
Whereas older, the older you get, kind of the less reliance on technology is there. And so, to me, the important things that you stressed was, one, obviously the transparency and honesty, and second was them being able to find you, so being in the networks and being active, and then the third was aggressive adoption of technology, that you have to be on text messaging and email marketing and
social,
have a great website, be
right.
pushing the social, be communicating in social, like you said,
right.
Not just pushing listings out. And
right.
so I think if a real estate agent was aggressive doing those things, they could captivate a market that, in all honesty, I think is a great market for real estate agents, and that's the first time home buyer.
Right.
Those are the ones that typically get approvals, a little bit quicker and everything else, because they don't have a credit history that might be impacting them too much and everything. So, yeah.
Interesting. I guess from my perspective, some of the takeaways were, you talked about technology adoption, but digitizing the path, making it easy as far as possible down that road to actually buying the home, and doing what you can there, which again is technology adoption. And then the other one was the network. I mean, the vast majority of most real estate agents' income comes from referrals and such. And finding a way to appeal to the millennials has been a challenge for a lot of agents. Knowing that that's where the millennials are still looking is a good sign for most agents. I think they feel like the millennials aren't looking through their referral network. I think they think that they're just online and that sort of thing. So I think the takeaway there is beef up that network, not only socially but also social networking and stuff like that, but also in person and that sort of thing, and remind your current clients who have kids that fall into that millennial range, hey, I can work with them too. So that's a very interesting aspect of it. And then being the resource, you talk about transparency and that sort of thing, but being the resource for the information, I think was probably another really strong takeaway there. So, all right, well, great. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at agentsauce.com or info@agentsauce.com. Thanks and have a great day.